Welcome everybody to this windy, stormy Friday morning, and hope we all stay safe in this. I was just sitting here feeling the effect of the wind. And that's just in the house, let alone being outside. I went outside to check on things like I'm sure we're all doing. And sometimes just feeling how the wind just wants to take us up, just kind of, and how scary that is actually. But then feeling my feet, it's like, getting the sense of the power of the wind. So it's a real good, in a way, metaphor for life. Sometimes life's just like, whoa, we just get blown around, and how to maintain or presence, awareness, but also how to establish that sense of groundedness. So we'll be exploring this in the class today, because it's all part of the connection that we're exploring through the kidneys over these weeks, and the kidney energy, and this connection from kidneys to lower dantien to the belly. How there's a mutual relationship between the belly and the kidneys, and then between the lower dantien and the earth, and similar, this relationship, this connection between earth and belly, and the power of the earth and the power in the belly, how they can relate. And we're also interested in the gateway, this lower guan, the base of the spine, which is how the base of the spine energetically connects with earth and with our legs. And when that's freed up, there's a free flow of energy through the base, through the whole body. And when it's locked and blocked, then it's very hard to actually feel our legs connect to the ground. So some of the practices are also we're connecting to this lower guan, which is in the lower spine, lumbosacral spine. So quite a lot of connections there. So as well as the kind of traditional Qigong practice, where we're connecting to the structure physically and the energetic structure energetically, and how to engage and how to possibly free this up, as well as this connecting to the body and the energy. For me, that in a way prior to that is realizing that there's an awareness here that's aware of this all the time. And it's a shift of perspective that we've been exploring over these last 2 years, actually. From mind looking at what's happening, trying to sort it out, seeing it as something as a problem, dropping out of that particular perspective, and resting back into that which is aware of the mind, awareness, and bringing awareness into body and the sense of feeling presence, heartful feeling presence. And this presence, this heartful presence, has the capacity to relate with what's happening. It's not trying to sort anything out, not trying to change anything or get rid of anything. It's just interested in meeting with and being with what actually is here. It's not trying to improve it. So that's a fundamental shift also that we're exploring in the class, how to drop from the mind with ideas and maybe maps of energy and how we want this to be, which is not wrong, not making that wrong. There's some glorious mapping of the body, but if we're interested in engaging with the experience directly of what it's like to be in our body and to be in contact, in relationship with this power of life, symbolized by the wind at the moment, it's a power that's beyond our control. And that can be scary, and it can also be exhilarating. So then we come into our experience and we can then relate with what's actually happening. And that's an engagement beyond belief, beyond the idea. We'd have to believe in energy. It's an engagement where we come close and we meet what's happening. And that, in a sense, is a very intimate experience with our own experience of this power of life. So that's the invitation. And throughout all of this, we're exploring. So there's nothing to get right, especially when we're engaging with a particularity here. So I set the theme for the next weeks of connecting to the energy of the kidneys. And in a way, the traditional practices of the energy being attracted to the kidneys and feeling the depth of that in this area in our lower spine. And yet we can get caught in, right, how do I get this? How can I get this right? And that becomes another trap that the mind has for us. So here my invitation is to come in. We take these gestures. We may have an intention that energy is received into the kidneys. And then we let go of trying to do anything. Easiest thing to say, I know, for me, for us all. And we just experience what it's like in this ever-changing present moment. That brings us close. And the closer we are here, the more our body is engaged and the more the power of life is engaged and wakes up. So, what else would I like to say today? Yeah, and if you're interested in exploring this at home, please feel free. And it could just be one thing you remember from the class. Take that away and just practice and see. Again, explore, see where that takes you. Particularly if it's something that in the class has already touched you or feel like it's plugged you in some way. Just explore that in your own time. And it could just be for a minute or two. To bring that into our daily life is very grounding into our life. So that's an invitation. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. And then the recordings are a support if you'd like to explore that. If you're interested, don't force yourself, please. There's so many other things we think we should be doing or have to do that I don't want to add that to the list. If you're interested, if you're somehow your heart's like, yeah, I'd like to give that a go, just explore. Enough for now. So lovely to have you join us. Lovely to have this opportunity just for me to share this practice. It's a gift for me too. I just want to include that. Yeah. So thank you for your interest. It kind of brings out whatever is needed here, hopefully in the class. So let's stand up. I think we'll just loosen a little to begin with. So shaking hips and hands and shoulders. And just have a wander. You could be going forwards or backwards or sideways. Just free up your feet. Shaking your body. Take a few deeper breaths. If you feel comfortable, just allow some sound. Breathing, walking, sounding. Just in a way we could say free up both energy and also our attention, which can get a bit fixated in different places. So moving around, freeing up energy, body, attention, mind. And then when you're ready, just more in one spot. So shaking and just dropping your weight, bending your knees, going as low as comfortable. And then some bouncing. Bouncing clearly helps the more heavy element of the body, which tends to be the more the historical weight, to just empty into the ground. So dropping your shoulders. You can imagine your shoulders drop through your feet. Ha! 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 One more time. Ha! And again, just shaking hips and hands, shoulders. Ha! Okay, let's engage our pelvis and lower spine, just rolling like this. Head more still, so the movement is more clearly through the pelvis and hips. And then change, go around the other way. Place your hands here just to really support both the lower spine here, the lumbar spine here, but also the kidneys, which are more here. And then feeling the movement both through the pelvis and also down through to your feet, through your legs, and up through from the pelvis, through your spine, all the way up through to your shoulders, neck, and head. Great. And similar with our knees, just kind of engaging our knees. And change, go around the other way. Good, and then just shaking loose. Shaking loose through through the hip, the knee, and all the way through the ankle. You shake your foot more strongly. And then lift your knee and kick out to the side with a ha! 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 Opens the relationship between the ha! Hip, knee, ha! And foot. Ha! Ha! And then just freeing up your hip. Good. Other side, shaking loose. Shake loose your foot. And kicking through the heel. Ha! 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 One more time. Ha! And freeing up the hip. Good. And then just again, moving around more on the balls of your feet. Just kind of, as you step, just let the rest of your body respond. So you're stepping, your hips, shoulders, neck, and head are all involved. Allow them just to respond naturally. Ah. Ah. Good. Come back to stand. The classic stance, the feet more or less shoulder width. So there's an alignment between the shoulders, the hips, and the feet. And here we just bounce. Sometimes we're bouncing more through the balls of the feet, which connects to the internal aspect of the body, especially the dantians. But here I'd like us to bounce through the heels, which connects more to the back of the body and the structure, particularly of the back of the head here, the occiput, the neck. This is the upper guan or gateway between the spine and the brain. It also engages here the lower guan, gateway here, lumbar, sacrum here, and the heels. And this is a practice in itself that you could just bounce for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Really engages when we're bouncing through the heels, the more the bony structure of the back of the body. Ah. And then to complement that, we open the elbows like this, which engages more the front, but particularly the diaphragm. So opening the gesture like this. Dropping the shoulders. Feel the effect. So it's like all the bones in the body are shaking. Heels, sacrum, spine, shoulders, neck, head, jaw, all these bony aspects. Engaged, shaking. So here, sometimes we can feel a little floaty if we're a bit like this. We've lost the connection through the feet to the ground and through the heels. So just drop the hands like this. If this feels also a bit floaty, just drop it a bit lower. Sometimes in this practice, if we stay engaged like this for a while, the power in the earth can start to come through. And that can take us, sometimes it speeds up the bouncing or just makes it stronger. So again, this is less of a doing, more to do with the degree that we're somehow relaxing, letting go, and letting the power of life come through. Sometimes in the bouncing, it highlights areas that are stuck. So I can feel right up in the top of my spine where it meets the base of the skull, like an area that's a little held, that's getting highlighted as we bounce. So we start to get information about what's happening. Just allow our body to find its way. Good. So slow it down. Feel the response more. And then just let it go. So we don't start winding ourselves up. We just let it go, move on. And then again, bouncing through the heels, rested back into the back of the body. Rested right into the back of the body. Open the elbows. Like literally our body can breathe. And then release, just freeing up more. And again, bouncing, connecting through the heels. Open the gesture. Connect to the back of your body, all the way from your base of your skull, back of the head to your heels. And moving on, freeing up. So here we are again, feet more or less shoulder width. Bouncing through the heels. Allowing your body to respond and find its way. Open the gesture. Let your body just breathe. Okay, if you feel somewhat grounded, then just open more like this. Come straight up. Hands face behind. And then release. Just drop the weight. And again, heels connect to the ground. Sense of possibility as we connect to the ground, then there's this support, essentially just a very simple support of the earth so that our body can let go the weight wherever it's held. It could be in an organ, it could be in a bone, it could be in a dantien, a center, anywhere. The weight as we connect to the earth, and there's some softening, then the weight of our life. We've lived our life and had so much experience, and some of that maybe still hanging around that can just release. So it's not something that we can do, but again, through finding the support of the earth connection, the body can feel supported or simply safe enough to let go. What we can do is simply take these gestures and these movements, which give a particular focus to the practice, or brings us into a relationship with particular aspects, or simply helps us engage with particular parts. So bouncing through the heels, engaging the back of the body. And sometimes we feel or see or sense areas that get stuck or held. Nothing we need to do with that. Stay with the practice. Taking the gesture of the hands. Let your body breathe. And then opening like this, straight up, hands facing behind. Drop your shoulders, open the arms, and then release. Just move around. Good. So come back to stand. So call the Wu-Chi stance, open and empty stance, just like this. Open the hands symbolizes the possibility of the physical and energetic structure, opening and breathing. Similar with the toes. And then just be curious how this area feels. Just imagine here, base of the spine connects to the heels, which connect into the earth. So there can be, again, a support very particularly for this area through the energetic connection to the base of the body, heels, earth. If in doubt what to do, just stand. It's such a great starting practice. Stand and return here. In the midst of a busy day, you're pulling your hair out, just stand. Feel your body, your feet, the earth. Even if it's for a minute or 5, just stand. Opening to this connection to earth. It's always here, but often we're not. Just opening to this connection to earth and feeling, sensing the response. So again, this is often more seen as a general overall gesture. And traditionally we'd stand like this for our first year of practice, every day for an hour, before the teacher would let us continue. We're not so strict these days. But still it points to how pivotal this practice is, and sometimes just how downright difficult it is to stop in this movement of our life. And yet when we can, it can be such a relief. And this is particularly the case with the connection to the kidneys. Again, the more established we are with the connection to earth, the more the power of the earth can come through. And here in the kidneys is a great place for that power to come up to. So this is often where we start the practice here with the kidney practice. So in the small of the back here, the wrists, and then just close the fingers like this. Hope you can see okay. And it's like the intention is we're just catching the qi. Often energy of the body is very dispersed outside of the body. So this practice is it's like an invitation, like a signal to the dispersed energy to come home. resting into the back of the body here, heels connecting to the earth. And then let's take that into some walking. So like this, just walking backwards, like you're collecting, like the energy of the body, and particularly the kidneys can return, can come in. And again, just standing. So again, in itself, this can be a practice, just to stand. And just wait for the return of the power of energy to come back here. And if we stand long enough in any of the gestures, we will inevitably get to experience parts of our body, often in the legs, but not necessarily just the legs, that are more held or disconnected or just simply stuck or painful. And here's an art of, it's not designed to be Chinese torture, that we just stand through the pain, whatever. I've done that myself in my early days of practice and really hurt myself. So it's not a pushing through. I really don't encourage that approach. But I'd say a staying with and a deep listening, and knowing when it's time to change and move. So in that spirit, from here, we turn the hands to connect to the body like this. Again, the fingers closed. And then come around like this. Cross over to the opposite side. Very contained. Come down, opposite knee. And down to the opposite foot. And then release. So in the standing practice, we'll get to see where we get held or where there's discomfort, injury, pain. So we're going to engage that in a different way. So standing can really illustrate what's happening. And now we're going to approach it more from a place of helping the body free up. So here, tapping, again, this lower guan area, from here to here, also from here to here. And then like this. And also like this, so more like, and then airing it out. Here we can include the kidney area, here. And more just generally following where you're attracted to in this area. Can also include the hips here. And then we go down outside of the legs, down to the outside of the knees. And just outside of the knees like this. And down to the feet. And just free up the hands, the feet. Come back to the standing gesture with the hands here. Just notice any change. Feel the effect. And then come around again. So turn the hands first. I was ahead of myself. And around like this. Opposite side, opposite hip, down, opposite knee, down, opposite foot. Go as low as possible without straining your legs or your lower spine. Come up. And again, tapping. Sometimes a lot of heat or cold can be released. Come to stand again. Sensing the effect. I'm not trying to direct the effect to be anything, just come into the sense of your body and feel how this is. Great. Again, in our own practice, we could stay here a long time if we're attracted to, but here we'll continue. Turn the hands facing the body. Feeling the effect. We can get a lot of insight into how our body and energy works, especially when we're in standing and resting in presence. A lot can be revealed. It's direct understanding rather than something we've been told. This is the Gong of Qigong. Okay, and then here, another aspect here is like, as the kidney area powers up, you can come around kidney area and the power here to the front to really support the lower dantien. So again, if we take that movement from here, palms facing the body, feeling, remembering how Jing talks about it, it's a bit like the pizza in a pizza oven slapped against the wall of the oven. When it's cooked, it can come off. So when you're cooked, hands come around, stay on your body, around to the front like this. And then again, we just feel the effect. And the standing to soften our knees, ankles, toes. As we get more into the internal aspect of the dantians and the lower dantien, standing more with a sense of connection through the soles of the feet, bubbling spring point, and that connection into earth. And just feel the effect. And if you feel settled here, including connection from the low dantien deep into the core of the earth, at this molten core of the earth. And just again, allow your own response. Sometimes our mind is holding us into a particular pattern of what it thinks should happen, and just let your body and the energy and intelligence of your body take the lead. Yeah. And then from here, again, in our own practice, we could stand here once again a long time. We may do more of that later in the term, but I think now just really both illustrating the practice and also helping free up how our physical, especially our physical structure is held, and helping to free that up so that energy moves more through. And then standing then becomes more of a joy than a chore. But that takes its own time, takes the time it takes. Again, in my own practice, I stand early in my practice, stand for a long time to really push this to happen, and did more harm than good, if I'm honest. So this learning to let go of the part of our mind that is driving us to get somewhere, and just coming here. All the healing, all the transformation happens here. So from here, coming around, connecting to the back again, lower back, especially lower guan, coming down. And here we're coming down the outside. Thumbs can come around a bit, so not further than here. You can see. Yeah, they just come around that outside, the external part of the legs, the yang part, all the way down through to the feet, dropping your bottom, and then freeing up. And again, just to free up, just have a little walk around. And in walking around, just notice any effect, changes. It's a little space to let your system, body, heart, mind, digest. And when you're ready, coming back to standing. I think one barometer for us over these weeks of practice of how, of any change is really in the standing practice. So see how you get on, just notice the changes and any change in your capacity to stand and stay with what's happening. And again, not to make anything wrong if we can't right now, but let's just track that over these weeks. And it's often said that the strength of the legs is determined by the strength of the kidneys and the lower dantien. So, very important work. And also, the more the energy wakes up, the more our legs can relax. When there's not much energy, the legs are going to hold and tighten and brace because they're not supported from inside by the qi. So as this wakes up, then there can be a relaxing. And then as there's more relaxing, then more energy can come in. So that's like a self-perpetuating cycle. So let's engage in another way with the body, so both physically and energetically. Take a slightly wider stance. And here, whatever's comfortable for you, whatever width is comfortable. It could be here. Just you've got to really find what's going to work for you. And this practice here of hands coming around the legs like this. So we're moving from the more physical practice to the energetic practice. So hands coming around, we're not touching the body. And yet we're clearly following the physical structure like this, around like this. And then from the inside of the feet, we come up to the inside here between the hips, like the hands in that space between the hips. Then around like this. Good. And then here, we're coming down the outside of the legs, the yang aspect. Now here we can bend, just go as low as comfortable. It could just be here, like that, and up. Really without pushing, without straining, with listening and being responsive. Just find your way. You could be coming all the way to here and just listening. Or you might find you go all the way down, keep your head more upright like this. Hands can come around the outside, connect to the inside like this, push down, come through. Here we are to here. Rest here a moment. Another very powerful gesture, connecting into the pelvis, the space between the hips. Sometimes we come more like this. Sometimes more like this. This is more central channel connection. Here's more hips. But the key is when we come round, if you see my hands, are staying connected to the legs. Here, drop your shoulders. And then around like this. We come around to include the lower guan. Unlock your knees, soften your knees. And then drop the weight. Bend your knees, drop your bottom. Come down as low as comfortable. Like this. Again, this is another standing gesture. And also this. Very powerful. When the capacity opens, we can take these gestures more. Rather than from straining, pushing, just a natural resting. We're going to rest these two stations for a few moments. Noticing the effect. And then here. and here. Here. Again, please follow and listen to what your body can do. If you need to take a break, please do. If you need to make it less physical, please do. Include this gesture. Hands, palms facing the lower guan, base the spine. Drop your shoulders, soften your knees. And also feeling the uprightness through your torso, the spine, neck and head. From the support of the strength in the legs, upper body can also relax and open. Okay, down. One more time here. To come up, just connect deep into the earth and then push your feet into the earth. Come up slowly, keep the head upright. Good. Can be quite a workout, so come around here, lower guan. Make sure your shoulders can roll back, drop down. Your shoulders are in your back pockets. And creating a focus of energy and attention here at the lower guan. Good. And then like this. Here. And then down like this. This time we're going to cross the hands over to opposite instep like this. Push down. Feel the power come through. Here, inside the opposite hip. Again, if this is too strenuous, please take care, stand without bending, or just sit on a chair and do this. Sometimes we can just imagine the movements. Great, and then like this, and then like this, and then back to here. Like different stations of connection. Down, crossed over, opposite instep. Push down, feel that strength through your legs, into the hips. Here. One more time. Here. Down. Cross over. Now your base of your body just drop as low as comfortable. Pushing through the feet into the ground. Feel the strength in your legs. And we come to here. Close the fingers now. Wrists crossed at the chi high point just below the navel. A couple of finger widths below the navel. Soften your knees, soften your thighs, buttocks. Feel like dropping through the lower spine without forcing. Potential connection to the base of the spine deep into earth. And receive your body's response. Sometimes a lot of heat can be generated. Sometimes a lot of sweating as body starts to release stale energy. Sometimes a cold also released. Sometimes it's more memory, images. Sometimes quite deep feelings, emotions come through. Okay, and then from here, return to here. Back to the shoulder width stance, palms connecting. Palms connecting to the kidney area and the small of your back. Fingers closed. Again, just resting, receiving, sensing, feeling the effect. And obviously for most of us, there'll be both some sense of energy, aliveness, and also maybe some pain or discomfort or weakness, emptiness. And initially it's good just to lean or welcome or open more to the sense of the strength. And later on we can include both, but initially making a sense of connection with this soft power. And then again from here, it's like the energy of the kidneys comes around like a wrap around to the lower dantien like this. And then the palm over palm, fingers angled like this, quite a dynamic gesture. Palms just below the navel again. Again, understanding from here, just Connect deep down into this molten, fiery core of the earth, meeting the fire of the power in your belly, and this exchange, this play. Again, sensing, however, this aliveness, this soft power feels in your body, just opening to this, and maybe resting back in the sense through your whole body, this whole body awareness. And noticing, sensing, feeling this effect through the whole body. As areas wake up, engage, come online. Sometimes parts of our system that we've not met before comes to say hello. Sometimes that's through a bit of discomfort. Sometimes it's like literal blocking gets washed through by this soft power. Also feeling this uprightness. There's this depth of connection to earth, and then allowing this in the standing and uprightness of the body. So as the legs power up, the dantien powers up, and the rest of the body has something to rest on. It's often said it's like the low dantien and the kidney energy is like the basement of a house, foundations of the house. Allows the rest of the house to be built on. Okay, let's integrate this through our legs. So bend your knees, drop your bottom, squeeze into the low dantien. come up. Then bring hands down like this. Making contact physically. Down the outside to the feet. Come up. And then just free up your hands, free up your feet. All right, let's come and sit together. We'll sit for a few minutes. So, as ever, the beginning of the class really is about opening physical and energetic system structure. Towards the end of the class, it's more about containing and internalizing. So containing and internalizing. So from here, in a way we've gone to here, and now to here. Let's bring the hands. You could have your hands here if you like, to really internalize at the kidneys. Or you could have the hands on your lap, whatever feels comfortable. The internalization is really simple. We take the gesture, bring our attention inside, and we feel the effect. Again, leaning more into an interest in how this power of life is coming through our body, however that is, it's welcome. If you're feeling very settled in this, you can also add sense of the spark deep within the chamber, the lower dantien, spark of light. And then to finish, bring the hands together. Here at the lower dantien, palm to palm. Like a containment at the lower dantien. And then again around, here to the lower guan and the kidneys. Just bending forward. And then down the outside of the legs, outside of your knees. And down outside of the feet. Come up. Upper guan. Opposite shoulder. Opposite elbow. And again, just feeling the effect. Like in the stillness of presence, feeling the movement of life, power of life. And then let go. Oh, lovely practice this morning. Thank you for your presence, your engagement, interest. Wish you well with your practice, and I'll end the recording here.